Man, I really don't remember there being that many Nintendo Switch 1 ads the first time it released. But with the Nintendo Switch 2, I'm seeing a Switch 2 ad in every other YouTube video that I've watched. And it's mainly because the sales of the Nintendo Switch 2 have not met the expectations of Nintendo. That means that we made a dent. All of the people that didn't pre-order the system, or the parents that bought the system specifically just for their kid and not for themselves, because of Nintendo's shady practices, seem to have made a dent in Nintendo's wallet. Originally, Shuntaro Furukawa predicted that the Nintendo Switch 2 will sell the same amount of units that the original did, which is 15 million. But now, it seems like they're not as confident that the Switch 2 will reach their original expectations for the system's sales, and they're mainly blaming the high price of the system. It could be a factor, but I think if people wanted the Nintendo Switch 2 enough, since there are 150 million active Nintendo Switch 1 owners, I would have expected from those numbers alone of original adopters that the hype would be real and most likely at least 20 million people would buy a Nintendo Switch 2. But it's not because of the high price of the system. It's mainly because of the software prices. Now, the president of Nintendo is also stating that the system software is expected to sell at least 45 million. And that's also a prediction. So in a way, the president is saying, hey, raising the prices for your software isn't that bad. As you can see, the software is selling very well. But to raise your console's prices isn't very good, Xbox. They're kind of throwing that out there, that raising your console prices would affect overall sales. And I get that Nintendo did this tactic in order to counteract the tariffs by making their accessories more expensive. But their original price for their games, which was $80, is still something that they originally planned to do regardless of tariffs. But yes, $450 to $500 is a lot for a new console, and it will make some early adopters a little hesitant on buying a Switch 2. But I think the bad press is what really screwed them over. It's the fact that they gave almost no information what the price of the system will be, what the price of the games will be, and a lot of other information that they didn't disclose with their customers after that long-awaited Nintendo Switch 2 Direct. And I feel like it's the secrecy and the nature of misleading people, like the fact that Nintendo Switch 2 editions of games come with the original Nintendo Switch 1 edition and only include a code for the upgrade instead of a brand new cartridge. That alone is misleading and may enable some people to buy an $80 version of Kirby and the Forgotten Land with a code included instead of getting it third party or used for around $40 and getting that $20 upgrade, saving you $20 for the same exact product. But except you don't get that fancy red Nintendo Switch 2 case. It seems like everybody's just paying for the new case with the same cover and an ugly Nintendo Switch 2 edition logo on top of it. There's so much confusion from Nintendo to their customers that I would say that is the primary reason the Switch 2 didn't sell so well, because people are most likely confused if their Nintendo Switch game is going to work or if they need to spend money on it. I believe from day one that the upgrades will be a huge factor in the Nintendo Switch 2 sales. But of course, Nintendo's not admitting that it's their misinformation and secrecy that is the main reason why they didn't sell Nintendo Switch 2, except the fact that they had Paul Rudd do an advertisement to make things better. It still didn't make the internet understand exactly what the hell the Nintendo Switch 2 was to begin with. It's just horrible advertisement on Nintendo's part. You have to advertise and be clear about your product, Nintendo. You can't be secretive about any prices, regardless of tariffs, which didn't happen yet, as you can see. The fact that Nintendo still hasn't admitted that it's because of their bad practices and just horrible advertisement of the Nintendo Switch 2, and a lot of people are admitting that they were extremely hyped up for the Nintendo Switch 2, and after seeing the prices and the fact that Nintendo was so secretive about it, it just killed all the hype within minutes. And I'm hearing that not many people tried to pre-order the Nintendo Switch through GameStop. There were actually a lot of Nintendo Switch 2s available at GameStop to pre-order, and there are still going to be a lot of systems available because Nintendo did not reach their sales expectations. But even this small amount of expectations versus reality sales for Nintendo will make a difference. And I'm already seeing companies like Warner Brothers offer $10 for an upgrade. Originally, they said that the game is too different to provide an upgrade and it will be a full-fledged release opposed to an upgrade. But now they're stepping back a little bit and they're trying to get their money back because Nintendo fans have been abused and used by Nintendo. And honestly, I think they've had enough. You got some people waiting 2 months for the system, but are there any other people waiting with them? No, of course not, because nobody's really that hyped for the Nintendo Switch 2 thanks to Nintendo. They've screwed the pooch on this one. I don't even think they're going to reach 15 million with this system. system. And all the fake FOMO news has been proven to be fake. Nintendo said it themselves, it did not reach expectations. Now that isn't historic sales, in my opinion. But I was never after just getting Nintendo to completely fail with the Switch 2. I just wanted at least 10% of those sales to not reach expectations, because even if there's a slight difference in sales, a company like Nintendo will notice, and they'll probably change their sales tactics and advertisements, and they'll most likely be a lot more clear next time. Hopefully they'll be as clear as Valve about their system's hardware specs, software prices, upgrades, and whatnot with the Nintendo Switch 3, if there's even going to be one at this point. But I'm just happy that there are a lot of people out there with self-control. And of course, right now, Nintendo's still blaming the price of the system for their bad sales. It's the fact that you guys held secrets from your consumers, made them look into it like a bunch of rats, and then charged them a kidney just to buy a game. It's that reason that the Nintendo Switch 2 sales aren't what you expected them to be. It's just insane how a lot of these big companies don't admit what the real problems are. I thought you guys had analysts. I thought you had people working for you to tell you what it actually was. It's not the price of the system. I think the price of the system is fair. Either you get Nintendo Switch 2 for $450 or something like a Steam Deck for $500 or an ROG Ally for $700. I think $450 is a fair price. I don't think $80 is a fair price. But yeah, guys, what do you think about the Nintendo Switch 2 sales not reaching Nintendo's expectations? Let me know in the comments down below, and I hope you have a good one. Later.